The Knicks really have a chance. Really say, yeah. Getting high notes today. Pipes warmed up here. All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to all the ladies out there. Hopefully you have a good relationship with your kids, and it should show today. Not a very welcoming Mother's Day around here in North Florida. Looks like the sky is about to fall. Got some good rainfall over the last couple of days, and it's supposed to last until the middle of the week. Personally, I could care less, just as long as I'm here. Herpes Wiener, how you doing, man? Yeah, it should be a great day for most people. Unfortunately for myself, I lost my mom about 6 years ago, a little over 6 years. And you change when you lose your mother, and I know some people lost them at an early age. I just happened to have mine almost 50 years, so I have to be thankful for that. But every year on this day is a rough occasion. Fortunately for me, I'm able to compartmentalize a lot of things, and I don't let it bother me too much. But that first one was rough. And if you haven't lost your mother or any parent, you'll find out when it comes, especially if it's something that you really care about. Scummy Sons, what's going on, man? I'm doing all right. We're going to talk a little bit about this basketball. All week, not all week, but the last couple of days leading up to yesterday, Stephen A. Smith and all the New York faithful, they coming out of the woodworks talking about how great it is to be a Knicks fan, and they about to run the Celtics off, and nobody, didn't believe it. And what they're really telling you is they can't believe it. And I think the Knicks players themselves really couldn't believe that they actually went up 2-0. But the way they finished those two games in Boston, like they really thought that they can beat the Celtics. But the Celtics, they didn't put the ball in the goal. And that is the object of the game. And if you don't, I don't care how good you are, basketball is still a chance game. And you can have the perfect rotation on the shot, but if just off just the hair, it can rim out. And the Celtics weren't hitting three-pointers in those first two games. But yesterday, completely different story. They ran out, instead of a 20-point lead this time, they jumped out to 30 points. And the Knicks couldn't handle that. So reality has struck somewhat for the Knicks and their faithful fans. Now they're all down in the dumps, and you can't hear a peep out of them. But before Game 3, when they were up 2-0, oh, that's all you heard. And you didn't even have to be looking at TV or be around anybody. You could just hear it reverberate through the air. Knicks, Knicks, Knicks. Well, the Knicks, you got a problem. Even though you're up 2-1, what are you going to do in Game 4? Well, if the Knicks really want to compete, they have to be competitive, much more so than being down by 30 points going into the fourth quarter. Now, I say if you can get it to around 10, then you're in good shape. But the thing about these playoffs is there's always somebody that step up That guy Pritchard, he was on yesterday. Horford, he played pretty well. Tatum finally come back down. I didn't think he was going to get about 20 points, which is what he got. But Jaylen Brown stepped up. So all the talk about Tatum and Brown, not performing to their level when they're supposed to, all that went out the window yesterday. And I think they're going to back it up in Game 4. Now, I don't expect it to be a blowout, but I expect the Celtics to go back home 2-2, which is the worst thing for the Knicks. They're going to have to pull some more heroics to avoid going back to Boston 2 apiece. But like I said, whoever won Game 3 was going to win the series. I fully expected the Celtics to win both games in Boston. And when that didn't happen, I was certain that they would win yesterday, and they did. The Stars showed up. Now, the other game yesterday, you had Golden State hosting Minnesota in Game 3. Curry is out. Very pivotal game for Minnesota to try to snatch back home court and also bang it into the Warriors' head that you can't play with anybody, and much less us, when you don't have your star player. So Golden State had to have somebody to step up other than Jimmy Butler. And also, Jimmy Butler had to step up even more so. Well, all of that happened yesterday. Butler scored over 30. And surprise, surprise, Kuminga off the bench, he scored over 30. But to the rest of the players, they didn't do a whole lot. Jimmy Hill, he pulled a Jamal Murray. He only scored like 6 points in the first half. Well, he didn't score any points in the first half. And all of a sudden, he came out hot. Not hot enough to pull any miracles out, but that game was in doubt all the way to the last minute. And that is a testament to the adjustments made by Steve Kerr and the heart of Golden State. Now, Butler, he has a fine sense for when to turn it on or not. And without Curry, he realized that he has to up his play. And he's done that. He's hitting three-pointers. He's taking it to the hole. He's doing all kind of things. Now, Draymond let him down yesterday because I only think he had like 2 points. And if Draymond is going to be helpful to Jimmy Butler when Curry is out, he needs to score at least 10 points. He needs to hit 2 threes. Pajemski, who was off, he didn't do anything. And Buddy Hield and Moses Moody, he's disappeared over the last 2 weeks. Those guys have to collectively hit about 6 or 7 threes, along with a raised production by Jimmy Butler for Golden State to have a chance. Kuminga was a surprise. Now, moving forward, if Kuminga can play like he did yesterday in the next game, and they get more production from Pajemski, Draymond, Buddy Hield, then I think Golden State has a great opportunity to win this game. I don't know if Curry is going to be back in the next game, but I've had calf strain problems before. I know once you get that, if they tell you you're going to be out a week, you're not coming back in a week. It's going to be another at least 2 or 3 weeks before you get over that calf strain. But a hamstring, that's a little bit different. If all you have is a strain, that's only like 3 or 4 days. I had plenty of those when I thought I pulled a hamstring, but all I did was strain it. And they have these sleeves that you put on that you can go out there and play with a hamstring strain with a real good sleeve. I've done that lots of times. So I think Curry, just like I was saying about some of these other players that have been hurt, maybe you need to get that thing shot up, put a sleeve on, and get on out there and play. If it's only a quarter, it'd be enough of a shot of adrenaline to get his players over the hump. I would say save him until the second half. And if it's a close game going into the fourth quarter, you bring in Curry, and he probably make a difference. He'll definitely lift the crowd up and the players as well. So as well as Edwards played yesterday, he hit like 36. I don't know if we're going to be able to duplicate that. But it's up to Curry. He's going to have to come off the bench and help these guys out, because if they go down 3-1, that is very problematic. And I think that it would be a good thing if he were to somehow get himself out there. The Lord saved. Did you know God loves you? That's what he says. All right, Barcelona, how you doing? Did the Knicks really have a chance? I don't think so. But a lot of Knicks fans, they really think they have a chance, even though they were up 2-0. Now it's 2-1. and they just brushing that off like don't mean much. But I know better than that, and the Knicks know better than that, and they're going to have to fight for their playoff lives if they want to continue in this next game. Visca Barcelona, I guess they're saying hello. I appreciate you saying hello and stopping by. Stack says, hi, how you doing? Talking a little bit about basketball right now. Now we got a little bit of people in here. I said earlier, happy Mother's Day to all the ladies out there. And I hope you have good relationships with your kids. And even if you don't have any kids and you're a stepmother, that makes you a mother too. So happy Mother's Day to you. Urgent warning, I don't know what that means. Anyway, happy Mother's Day, and I hope you guys have a great day. We got a couple of good games on today. We got, who's playing? The Knicks played yesterday, so that means Cleveland is going to play Indiana today. Now, that's an interesting matchup to me, because if you know Halliburton, he seemed to have raised his play after he got wind of a vote that the players think he's the most overrated in the NBA. Once he got that, he'd been playing lights out for about a week or so. But last game, he only scored 4 points. You would think if well as Indiana played on the road, with production from Halliburton, he's distributing the ball, he's taking it to the basket, that he will come back home and he will have the best game of his series. You would think that from all the Pacers, especially that you have a surprise 2-0 lead on Cleveland. But that didn't happen. They struggled the whole game. They still don't have an answer for Donovan Mitchell. And then Halliburton, who's supposed to be offended by what people say, gave them more fuel for their thought because he only came up with 4 points. You can't be the leader of a team and disappear like that in a critical moment. If you notice the trend, this tends to happen a lot with these basketball teams. Yes, I realize that the game, every shot you take is going to be a little bit different than the next. But if you're consistent, it justifies your position to be in the NBA because you're a model of consistency. But you don't get that from most of these guys. And when the lights are shining brightest, they seem to turn away from it. And that's disturbing to me, especially if you're bothered by comments about what some people say about you in the media. So today, Halliburton gets a chance to right the wrong that he had in game number 3. They're still at home. That crowd's going to be amped up. And it's just going to be a matter of, can he show up or not? Because with a Halliburton scoring 15 to 20, he's getting other players involved because the defense is going to try to stop him from penetrating in the lane. So if he's scoring and getting this assist, then those other guys are going to be set up for more open shots, and Indiana becomes more of a problem. But despite all of that, they got to find a way to stop Mitchell. Now Garland, he came back from injury, had a big boost for the Cavaliers. He only scored 10 points, but that's about what you normally get from a player who comes back from an injury like he had, and it usually takes him a while to get going. So after that, getting back in and getting his legs back into the game, he should have a better performance today. So that doesn't bode well for the Pacers. They're going to have to get more production from guys like Halliburton. And I think on the defensive end, and a lot of people aren't saying this or haven't noticed, some of those guys on Indiana, like Mathurin, he don't try very hard to get a rebound. If the ball comes right to him, great. But if there's any 50-50 chance, he's not going for it. He's just going to concede that somebody else is going to get that ball. All he's doing is sitting there waiting for an opportunity to score. There's plenty of room for opportunity that the Pacers can use to improve their game. And I would start with a guy like Mathurin. He needs to pick it up on the defensive end. Getting one rebound or having somebody predict you get one rebound and that is a whole lot, and you go out and show them that it was a whole lot, that doesn't make you look very good. Yeah, I know you're a guard and you're shooting on the outside looking for three-pointers, but Jason Tatum is the same way. I've seen Steph Curry get down there and mix it up. There's no excuse because you're a guard that you can't get a rebound. And for this guy here to be as good as he is on the offensive end, to only get at the most one rebound, that's ridiculous, especially for the kind of money these guys are making. You make it make sense to me. because right now it just does not make sense. And if the Pacers look at minor things like that, then they stand a better chance of improving something that can help them get beyond Cleveland. But I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Mitchell. He scored over 40 points the last 2 games, and he scored like 33 the first game. Now, I think he's going to slow down a little bit. He's due to have a bad game. I think he'll probably hit about 29, 30 tonight. More like the 30 points he'll hit. And that's about right. And he'll get this production picked up by Garland. And I just don't think that Indiana in the end is going to be able to hold off Cleveland. They'll play better, and the better they play, the more raucous that crowd gets to make it more difficult for Cleveland. But with the addition of Garland coming back and the play of Mobley, Cleveland is going to be hard to beat by this Pacer team. And they definitely, just like the Knicks, cannot go down 3-1. If they go down 3-1, well, I take that back. Cleveland can't afford to go down 3-1, and I think because of that, they're going to win this game, and they're going to go back to Cleveland, knot it up, and then they're going to go ahead and take control of the series from that point. All right, now, just some NFL news. You know, they had the NFL minicamps. They wrap up today. Everybody's talking about what's going on in Cleveland. You know, Gabriel and Sanders, they got in there, and they got a chance to work with the other rookies during this camp, run some plays, whatever they do in these camps. But the team has a chance to take a look at both players. Now, I think just on the reaction that the coaching staff had when they were forced to select Sanders, they don't really want him. And they came back later and showed that they don't really want him by giving his trademark number 2 to another player that never worn 2 before in his life. That was kind of a slap in the face, and leads me to believe that they still really don't want this guy. Now, it was up to Sanders to go in there this weekend to prove that they made a mistake about him and to put more pressure on Dylan Gabriel. Well, Gabriel, he finally broke his silence, and he said all the right things. He's right when he said that the more we talk about the subject, the more of a division it could provide for the team. So he's not going to go on that route, and I agree. But inside, he has to believe that he needs to show why he was drafted ahead of Sanders. Now, a silver cloud for either one of these guys. I told you, and mark it down here, I told you guys 2 weeks ago what was going to happen before it happened. The owner enforcing the coaches to draft Sanders not only amped the competition between Gabriel and Sanders, it also put the spotlight on the coach and the GM about whether or not they are the guys that can truly be the ones for the Browns to pick the right players. Because if you didn't want Sanders and the owner made you take them, and the guy that the owner made you take outperforms the one that you wanted, that don't make you look very good. And I think that because of that, they're going to try to make it as difficult as possible for Sanders to really fly. But if he goes in there and he's outperforming Gabriel, you can't hold a guy back because it's all about money and it's all about wins. And all that personal stuff goes aside. So it's up to Sanders to determine how this thing is going to play out. But even if it doesn't work out, one of these 2 guys I think is going to be released. They're going to keep the veteran presence of Flacco. They pretty much got to keep Deshaun Watson. He's going to be on IR all year. Kenny Pickett, he's the fly in the ointment. Now, if he doesn't greatly outplay these other 2 guys, he could be the one to get released. But I think the loser of the Gabriel-Sanders race is going to be the one that gets released with the intention of putting them on the practice squad. But as you know, when you release somebody, you have to wait a certain amount of time to give other teams to possibly sign these guys before you can make your practice squad team. Well, that is an advantage for whoever gets cut. Why? Because yesterday, Derek Carr, Friday I believe it was, Derek Carr retired. You know, he's got a torn labrum in his shoulder and he was going to have surgery. And he decided instead of going through all that again, save the team some salary cap money and just go ahead and call it a career. Now, that was a courageous move by Carr, because had he just had that surgery, he could have sat out on IR last year and still collected that $30 million and then retired next year. But the sport in him didn't want to go out like that. So what he did was he cut a deal with him. Well, that $10 million roster bonus he got in March, it allowed him to keep that. but he's going to forfeit that $30 million he was going to get had he stayed on the roster, and that allows the Saints to go out and spend some more money against the cap. Now, the thing is, if Sanders or Gabriel gets cut, then that is an opportunity for New Orleans to pick up one of these guys to fill in for what they were going to get or thought they were going to get with Derek Carr. So it's not out of the ordinary or out of the thought process to think that one of these guys, even though they may not land in a stick in Cleveland, they could still end up in New Orleans, because right now New Orleans is in bad shape. All right, AWBATC says the Saints messed up by not taking Shedeur at 9. Well, that was the talk, that they were going to take Shedeur at 9, but he may end up in New Orleans anyway, because if he plays well enough, the word's going to get out. Somebody's going to be on the horn trying to make some moves even before actual training camp begins. Now, this is the rookie camp. This is early May. Real camp start in July, so we're only a couple months away from the real stuff. And I think if Sanders plays well enough, then the Saints might make a deal to bring him into New Orleans. And that would be interesting to see. But I think eventually that's probably what's going to happen, because Cleveland really don't want him there. It would take a lot of pressure off the coaching staff to have that guy going and not make them look so bad. But even still, if you ship Sanders, you didn't draft Sanders, and he goes somewhere else and outplays Gabriel, that's probably going to be the end for Stefanski and his new GM, Perry. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now, his brother, Shiloh, the Bucks didn't want him either. He's down there now, and he's performing in training camp. I'm hearing mixed reviews on it, but he's wearing that number 28 instead of the trademark 21 that his dad had. But I think he's going to get a legitimate shot, but I don't know if he's going to be able to stick. He's got a lot of things he needs to fix. They say he'll come up and hit you. Now, I saw him play in college several times. I saw him play at Jackson State. I saw him play at Colorado for a couple of years. Sometimes look like to me he's a coverage liability. And he's going to have to fix those holes if he wants to stick in the NFL. Because as you know, these coaches in the NFL are the best. And all they do is sit there and watch film, and they're going to find something that you can't do or that giving you trouble, and they're going to give you a heavy dose of it, and you're going to get exposed. So he's going to have to fix that. And if he can't fix as much as he needs to put some big hits on out there to make sure that he does something that makes him a valuable asset for an NFL team. But remember, you can't get so aggressive now in the NFL. Going out of days when you can catch a guy coming across the middle and lay him out, even if it's a legitimate hit. The optics of it make some grannies in the stands cringe, and that's what the NFL seems to be worried about. They're not worried about the integrity of the game. They're worried about pleasing people in the stands. I think most people in the stands want to see somebody get hit. What do you think is going to have a better career, Ward or Sanders, personally, in your opinion? I think I like Ward, only because Ward in his position, he wasn't a top draft choice. He didn't have things laid out for him. He had to go and do it the hard way. He had to improve at every step. He went to Incarnate Word, then he ended up at Washington State, then he went over to Miami. At every step, he got better and better, and he's improved his craft. Now, a lot of people saying that they think Sanders is better. He even said that he thinks Sanders is better, but at the same time, why put the pressure on himself, say somebody else is better, and go out there and not play him? That's what I think the reason why he said that, but he did say he thought Shedeur was hands down the best quarterback in the draft. I wouldn't do that. If I feel like I'm worthy enough to be drafted in the NFL, I don't give a damn if it was an undrafted free agent. If I get an opportunity, I'm going to make the team. That's just the way I feel about it. But Ward, he's got a great upside, and he's steadily working on his craft and getting better. Sanders, he's getting there. But the one downside I have against him, and it kind of goes into some of the stuff that was going on in the pre-draft. It seemed like to me he took a lot of sacks in college. That line was getting beat up, but there were times he could have thrown the ball away, I thought. And I was thinking that maybe he was just trying too hard to find an open receiver. Sometimes you just got to get rid of the ball. Well, it came out that some of those sacks he took was so he wouldn't throw the ball away to protect his passing percentage. Well, when I heard that, my first thought was that I hope that's not true. And two, if that got around, he got on the NFL team and he tried to pull that wouldn't go over very well once that was discovered. So I'm hoping my gut is right in thinking that's not true. But these players nowadays, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that is true. But if he can escape the rush, any quarterback, if he's got time to throw, he's going to kill you. But if the pressure is just too much and you misreading and you throwing bad interceptions, that's a problem. Because like I tell you guys before, I never met a quarterback who could throw on his back. And I don't give a damn if it's Marino, Elway, Y.A. Tittle. It doesn't matter. If you can't stand up and throw the football, you can't play. So you got to have enough time. You got to check into the right play nowadays. And then you got to distribute the football to where it needs to go. But yeah, I think Ward has the best upside for growing into the position more so than Sanders. Now Sanders, he's at a high level because, of course, you know, his dad been schooling him about the game a long time. So he knows more than they want to give him credit for. And I think if he gets in the right situation and has time to throw, he's going to be effective at what he's doing. So I ain't got no knock on either one of them, but I just like the way that Ward came up and built his way all the way from no stars on the recruit level to where he is now. So it's just a matter is he going to fall apart now that he's on the NFL stage? Travis Hunter, you know, he's talking about down here. He's come back to town and they seem to like what they see so far. But he's going to be playing with Trevor Lawrence. And I was talking to a guy yesterday. He wasn't really a Jaguar fan, but he says that the problem in Jacksonville is really Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence is not as good as everybody made him out to be coming out of college. He had a great college career. He had a fabulous high school career. Everything was upside for this kid for a long time. But when he hit the pros, he's been struggling. And that it hadn't fully clicked for him yet. And you could see after he signed that big contract, it looked like to me that he was pressing a lot, trying to show everybody why he deserves this big contract. And I think that hurt him. I think he just needs to forget all about that external pressure that he puts on himself trying to overperform and just play like he did in college and high school, and he'll be fine. He knows enough about the game now to get into the right plays. He's seen enough coverages that he should be able to throw it to the right guy most of the time. And I think with the addition of Hunter, that stands to be a pretty good team moving forward. But the question mark is the quarterback. You get a running back that can stick it up in there, and Jacksonville's going to be all right moving forward. But it's going to still come down to what can Trevor Lawrence do. And I think he's been holding them back, and a lot of fans are feeling the same way about it. All right. Now, we was talking about basketball. But speaking of football, if you guys go in the description, at the very top of the description, I put a link in for Discord. I have started a new football forum called Checkoff. So anything that you want to talk concerning football, let's get a discussion started on a daily basis because, you know, football, it doesn't ever stop. It's always 365 days a year. I don't care if it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals, somebody somewhere talking about football, and it's probably me. So what I like for you to do is, if it doesn't have the blue link on it, just copy it and paste it into a browser. Come sign up to be Discord, and let's drop some knowledge on this football game, man, because I'm worried about the future of it, and there's a lot of topics we can discuss. I got a couple of them that I like to talk about, but I don't want to get into it right now. I really don't have the time. But just going back to Shedeur Sanders and the Saints passing up on him at that 9th pick, just to have Derek Carr retire on them after the fact. Now, if you knew you weren't going to play, you could have just took that roster bonus and then maybe a couple weeks later before the draft, at least told those people you weren't going to play. Why do you wait a couple weeks after the draft to decide that now you want to have surgery, or you might need surgery to play, and then you retire on them? So you kind of like messed them up. Yeah, in the end, he saved him some cap money, but it could have had a different approach going into the draft. We wouldn't be talking about all this drama. But I think Cleveland, that situation is going to solve it for everybody because they got a logjam at quarterback. They got 5 up there right now. Watson's not going to play, so he's out. Flacco is probably going to be the day one starter. And then you have Kenny Pickett, probably going to get the number 2 based on experience. And then you're going to have a battle between Gabriel and Sanders for the 3rd spot. The 4th guy that doesn't win that, whoever doesn't win that Gabriel Sanders thing is going to get cut with the intention of putting him on the practice squad. And that's when the Saints probably going to reach in to get him before they can put him on the practice squad. But the thing about it is, if the Saints don't actually move for a trade before training camp, and that would take some pressure off Gabriel, but not really. And it also puts more pressure on the Browns coaching staff because I think it was a great move by the Browns owner, even if he didn't intend to do so. It put the spotlight on his coach and GM. You tell me that you can coach my team. You tell me you can pick the right players to put on my team, but yet the guy that you wanted to pick not panning out so well, and the guy I told you to pick, he's out playing him. Oh, problem. Stefanski, if that happens to him, he's not long in Cleveland, especially if they start off slow like they've been doing. Dolce A. Maduro, how you doing? I'm doing fine. Again, happy Mother's Day to the ladies out there. I hope you all have a good day. Right now, I'm just telling you guys to go to my description, and there's a link in there for Discord. I just started a new Discord chat forum about football. So football is year-round. Football is the number 1 sport. And like I tell you, even though the NBA Finals could be today, it could be game 15. It will never outdo a humdrum story in football. And because of that, I always tell you that basketball is just something else to do until football comes around. And when football comes around, basket what? I don't even know what that is, man. This year, I got to wait a little longer. There's not enough fill-in that's going to take place until the camps open. Good thing for me, I got into the Tour de France really heavy about 10 years ago, so I sit there and watch them. A lot of people say that's boring. Watch people ride a bike. Well, it's more than just watching somebody ride a bike. The strategy, even, you can guess at what somebody's going to do. It's going to be a breakaway, and then most of the race is going to be chasing the breakaway down. And they won't even go after until it's got about 15 or 20 kilometers left, and they'll slowly track him down. And it'll become a race at the finish. But the beauty of the Tour de France is not watching the guys ride the bike. It's the scenery and the imagery that they talk about as they discuss the race and the history of the areas that they're going through. If you've never been to Europe or France or any of those surrounding countries there, you can learn a lot just by sitting there watching the bike race. All right. If you, the Saints, do you offer the Browns a high pick for Sanders now? No, I would offer no more than a 4th round pick for him. He hasn't proven anything. He called himself legendary, and he said he's going to prove things to himself, not nobody else. He doesn't worry about what everybody else say. I think he still might be talking just a little bit too much. Just go out there and play. And because he hasn't earned a spot on the team yet, I wouldn't go out and give him a high draft choice. It wouldn't make sense to go out and give him a 1st or 2nd round for a guy that you picked up in the 5th round that's never played a game. So I would say 4th round pick and a few dollars. That'd be a good thing for him. But you have to be absolutely convinced that this guy can play. And I think once they start getting around what happened in the Browns minicamp about how this guy performed, then perceptions will change based on that. But until he actually gets in the game, preseason will show you a little bit, but not much, because the teams just play pretty much vanilla when it comes to those preseason games. But I think Sanders has a chance to write his own ticket. I think that if he plays well enough in minicamp and he follows that up in training camp before the season starts, I expect to see Sanders in New Orleans, which is probably where he wanted to be anyway. So that's my take on the AWBATC. So are you a Saints fans? AWBATC? What does that mean anyway? Mike Dow, appreciate it, man. Again, you guys are football guys, sound like. Go to that description page that I have there and click on the link or copy and paste it in your browser and subscribe or however they do it with that Discord. I'm still new at it. I don't know much about it yet, but I know right away that you can discuss pretty much football and anything else you want to stuff. Can you say happy birthday to my friend Alec Mensaces? Well, happy birthday, Alec Mensaces. I hope I said it right. This is Neezy Slayer. You got a bad day for a birthday, Alec. You got to share it with all the women. You probably won't get very many gifts today, especially if mom's still around. So, but happy birthday anyway. But yeah, click on that link for Discord and let's talk some football. You know, I got a lot to say about football. Got a lot of experience with it. And if there are any coaches out there, I know you guys. When you go to breaking down your film for the games, I'm not actively on a coaching staff right now. I'm being recruited, but I don't know if I really want to. I don't know if that's going to work out just yet. But what I like to do, if you guys have some film that you can send me that you need help breaking down, or better yet, send me your film. I'll break it down for you and do your cards for you. And that way, that's one less thing you have to do in preparation for the games. I figure I can handle 3 or 4 teams a week. I can do 3 or 4 teams a week to help teams out. But I don't think you can get me on your payroll with a coaching supplement. But I can go out and actually do some scouting for you live and look at the teams you're going to play ahead of time if you're going to do that. So that's something we can talk about. But like I said, hit me up on this course and let's get this thing rolling and let's talk football 24/7. Miami fan, you must be talking about a hurricane or Miami Northwestern. The Dolphins got problems, man. They're talking about getting rid of the coach, and they're not happy with the quarterback. So this might be the last year that we see Miami configured the way they are now. I thought that Tyreek Hill was going to try to find his way back to Kansas City, and he's so busy on trying to prove that he shouldn't be in Kansas City. I think that's the best place for him. But Tua, he's going to have to step up and stop getting hurt, man. Cross paths, thoughts on Shedeur. I've been talking about him all day. I think Shedeur has a chance to write his own ticket. How he plays this weekend in the Browns minicamp will determine what his future is going to be. Because you know it's a small community. Everybody's going to talk. Word is going to get around about how he's performed. They want to know how you're retaining information. They're going to test you to see if you're worthy enough to handle this information that's going to be thrown out to you at a high volume during the season. If he outperforms Gabriel, one of those two guys is going to end up, I think, getting cut. Only with the idea of putting him on the practice squad. And before that happens, with the news coming out of New Orleans with Carr retiring, they need another quarterback. So they're going to snatch whoever gets cut out of Cleveland and bring him down there before the season starts. If they don't actually make a move to get him in there before training, the season actually begins. So that'll be something worth watching. But does he have a chance to play? Yeah, he got a good chance to play. I'd rather see him play than we don't want to hear all that talking, man. Just go out there and play, man. He hasn't said a whole lot, but the subject on him is just out of control. So I'm waiting to see this guy get into uniform in the NFL game to see how he looks. That's what I want to see. And the Browns get a taste of that this week, even though they didn't really want the guy. It's the owner that wanted him. And it works out well for Cleveland in the end because now they get to see who's the better player between Gabriel and Sanders, number one. 2, if Sanders outperforms Gabriel, now you know that your GM and your head coach can't properly pick players that's needed for the Browns to win. And because of that, it's going to make a difference about who sticks around. And if somehow Sanders ends up in New Orleans or outperforms Gabriel in this mini camp and moving forward into training camp, that don't make the coach look good. So I think he's going to last. And if they start out struggling, especially in that tough division they're in, the only thing that might save them is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's doing some knothead stuff right now. And if Aaron Rodgers don't come in and save them, Pittsburgh might just be looking at a 4th place finish, man. JC, what's going on, man? Next game is crucial for New York. They can't let the Celtics get back into the series. Momentum is crucial for New York. Yeah, it is. But like I said earlier, I started off talking about that. I think the Knicks, they've been in trouble when the schedule came out. Yeah, they were fortunate enough to win those first 2 games, but I think, just like the title said, I think they just pissed off the Celtics by going down 2-0. The first 2 games, the Celtics had a 20-point lead, ended up blowing them. Because the same way that they play is the same reason they lost. You jacking up 3-pointers instead of taking that thing down low or milking the clock and pounding it down to the big fella. You want to shoot threes all the time. That's not worth a quarter, but that's the way these guys play now. And you go on 3-on-1 fast breaks, instead of the guys filling the lane, they spotting up for 3-pointers. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I just can't get it. All right. Got some jerk coming on here. What's up, Jerry Stackhouse? This is, yeah, whatever. Jerry Stackhouse, dad. Whatever. Get rid of him too. All right. But yeah, I think that the Celtics, they pretty much have control over that series. It would have got really interesting if Boston had got beat yesterday. But I think instead of them possibly getting swept by New York, they're going to do a reverse sweep on New York. They're going to win 4 straight. And I thought whoever won the third game was going to win the series. Same thing with Cleveland and Indiana. Now you get a chance to see what Indiana's going to do. I don't think they're going to do a whole lot. I expect Halliburton to step up a little bit because now people are talking about him again. You know, you got offended when they said you were the most overrated player in the NBA. You didn't take that too well by playing well, but then you laid 4 points out in a critical game 3. You got a chance to put a death nail into the Cavaliers, and you don't show up. When he's playing well, he's going to score, taking it to the basket. He's going to kick out for threes, and he's going to get some assists. And if he's doing all those things, the Pacers become more dangerous. But he can't do that if he's scoring 4 points, man. And it's a big problem. All right, do the Knicks really have a chance was the question I asked. And most people, 78% so far, are saying yes. I understand. I'm probably talking to a bunch of Knicks fans. Everybody is hungry for a championship, and you want to see your teams win. And I understand all of that. But the Knicks, you got a couple bricks on your shoulders, and you're out in 15 feet of water. And the problem is you're not in the city pool where a lifeguard can just jump in and save you. So I suggest you try to get those bricks off your shoulders and get to shore before it's too late. But unfortunately, I think water's gotten into the bricks and it's sinking you down even more. So you got a problem, man. So anyway, I think they can beat the Cavs in 6 if it goes 7. Cavs got it. Well, I think the Cavs go as Donovan Mitchell goes. If you find a way to get the ball out of his hands, then you can take down Cleveland. But if they're able to spread the floor and he's able to shoot those threes, you come running him at it for a 3 and he penetrates and gets to the basket. Oh, Cleveland is dangerous. This guy didn't show me that in the regular season. I hadn't been watching the NBA as much over the last few years, but they say he was doing the same thing in the playoffs for Utah. But Utah wasn't that great, so it would take 1 or 2 players to try to elevate the team to another level, and that's what he was doing. But now you see it with Cleveland. He's scoring 24 a game. Now he scored 40 in the last 2. This guy here's the truth when it comes to the playoffs, and this is the kind of player that should be up on a poster. Because as the season goes on and the stakes get higher, this is the kind of player you want out there playing. Not some guy that's going to get a tweak and can't play for 2 or 3 days, or he jammed his thumb, or you get on, well, you want to get on Ja Morant. I'm going to stay on him. I don't think he cares. As long as he's getting paid, he's straight. But Mitchell is the poster guy for trying to win a championship. When a lot of these other guys, they get a little boo-boo and they don't want to play. And I got a problem with that. And Mitchell, if they can find a way to get the ball out of his hands, then it doesn't matter who they play, especially Boston, because Boston's going to do what Boston does. I think that Boston is the better team in the East. But Cleveland's going to give them some problems as long as Mitchell is hitting on all cylinders. All right. Cross paths say Nuggets and OKC thoughts. Well, I think when you play a team in a series, you can make adjustments that cause teams problems. Gilgeous, he's averaging over 30 points a game. He only scored like 18 the other day. Because he didn't hit in all cylinders like he's been doing, it changes things for OKC. Now, if you notice about Denver, Jokic, he's not scoring as many points. He's also not getting as many assists. He's stepping back, hitting a timely three every now and then. But the big advantage that he has going for him right now and the team is that he's getting a lot of rebounds, eliminating those second chance points. If he's able to keep OKC off the boards and control the boards and quell that threat, then OKC is not the same. They don't have that same effectiveness. It's just like Minnesota in a lot of ways. They're dangerous when they get off and running. They scored a record the other day, 87 points in the first half in the playoffs. That is outstanding. They were on the pace to hit. It looked like an all-star game out there the other night, the way they were playing. And if they're able to do that, nobody's going to beat them. But you got to be able to control the pace, and you got to hit those boards, get them off those second chance shots. I still think OKC is the best team in the West, but they're going to have to keep growing and overcome bad performances like what they did. Now, even though they're down 2-1, it took overtime to beat them. Now, I know it still counts as a victory, but this next game coming up is going to be critical for OKC. But I think they're going to find a way to win, and they're going to go back home 2 apiece. I still think they're the best team, but this series is trending towards 7. And I think when it gets to game 7, as always, somehow it always ends up in a blowout. And that's something I just can't understand. How you can play a team nip and tuck for 6 games, and then when the critical game to win the series, you don't show up. That turns my stomach, actually. All right, Jesus Jesse, Texans, the best baby girl. No, I don't know what you mean by that, but I think that you better get down with the Steelers because we're going to the Super Bowl. I know that might rankle some of you guys' favor, but it's what I tell you every year. We can't go to the Super Bowl every year, so we let teams like Kansas City get in there. Maybe Buffalo or somebody. But it's time for Pittsburgh to start playing around and get on to the Super Bowl. They've been playing Russian roulette with Aaron Rodgers, and I hope it don't backfire on them. But I'm getting the feeling, and word is, I heard yesterday that he's joined some country club in Pittsburgh. And if that's the case, it looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to end up in Pittsburgh. I think they might have had an idea about what Rodgers was going to do when they met with him a couple months ago, and it affected how they drafted. And I think in the end, Rodgers is going to come. I think they're going to be all right. How about them boys? Well, I knew I started something when I said that. Ravens are kings of the North. Yeah, you king on King Street. Cowboys fan, Aaron is washed. Well, he might be washed, but if he throw for 3,500 yards, or he threw for 38 last year, I'll take that. And we didn't get it last year. We had a 3,800-yard passer last year. We showed the Ravens what time it really is. And the Commanders to the Super Bowl next season, I don't know, man. If Pickens works out in Dallas, you got a coverage problem. If they can show up their defense a little bit, and Dak Prescott can get those receivers, they're going to have opportunities to get CeeDee Lamb and Pickens going. Dallas can be a problem in that NFC East if they're able to do something. Okay, you showed them nothing? What do you mean? Well, Pittsburgh didn't do nothing last year because we didn't have a quarterback, but we'll be all right. But I think that Dallas, I don't like Dallas, never did. I don't hate them. Matter of fact, I like Dallas. I root for Dallas when they're losing because I want them to be good so I can dislike them, if that makes any sense to you. But I think that Dallas is going to be problematic if that offense can get going. Michael Irvin thinks they can score 30 or 35 a game. I don't see that. I think they can score 24 a game. If they do that, then they're going to cause a lot of problems. So we'll see how that goes. But I see you guys are morphing into more football. Like I say, look on the description. I have started a football forum called Checkoff. And the link to that description is in the link to that chat. The link to that page is in the description. It may not show up as a link you can click, but what you need to do is copy it and paste it, and it'll take you right to it. But football, again, is something we can talk about 24/7, and that's why I started that forum. So hit me up on that, and let's talk some football, man. Do you think Sanders ready to make an impact in the league, or he needs to grow? Well, they all need to grow. He's good enough to play in the league, but he's going to have to learn. And the question is, will he get a true opportunity? If it was up to the Browns coaching staff, no, he wouldn't get a chance. But the owner is going to make sure he get a chance. And the wild card in all this, the Saints now need a quarterback with Derek Carr retiring. And that's going to open the door for either Gabriel or Sanders to end up in New Orleans eventually. The Redskins are going to win the NFC. They got a good shot. But I think Detroit got something to say about that. Yeah, you whipped them last year. But that's the beauty of football. It's like life. You get one chance. You don't always get the same breaks every time. And I think that's the way Detroit's looking at that. In a series, Detroit would have beat you 4-2. So anyway, yeah, Detroit's a pretty good team. It should be a good series. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. It is Mother's Day. I don't have my mother. I lost mine about 6 years ago. And like I say, it's a tough thing to do, especially the first one. And you won't understand until you lose yours. But I'm not bitter about it, but it's hard, man. So if you still got your mother, I don't care what kind of relationship you got, you might want to repair that, because you don't know how much time you got left. And we don't want to hear all that screaming and yelling at the funeral when you didn't do what you needed to do to straighten up with your mothers. So that's just my take on that. But I got to get up out of here, so let me recap this chat. I asked you guys, do the Knicks really have a chance? Yesterday, the question might have been, did the Celtics have a chance? And I would have told you the same thing. They have a great chance, and I think what we're looking at here is a reverse sweep. Yeah, they lost the 2 games, but all they really did was piss them off. Now here they come. So if the Knicks show up and get up 3-1, then we're going Game 7. But I still think the Celtics, the better team, is going to win this series, man. But basketball, with the chance percentage of making and missing a shot, it makes all the difference in the world, man. So that's my take on that. But again, just to wrap up, go to that description I have, and there's a link to Discord. And I want to talk football all day, every day. And I want to talk with people like you guys who stick it in with me. I appreciate you, Dante Hines. I don't know what you're trying to say there, but fare thee well. Juan Segura, JC as always. Who else on here I hadn't seen before? Cross Paths. Subscribe, man. I usually be on in the mornings, sometime between 6:30 and 7. I have like 15 to 20 minutes. I can talk a little sports, get you caught up to get the day started. I call that the morning sports bite, and that's what I've been doing lately. And I started this football Discord thing, and let's talk some football, man. And again, if there's some coaches out here, you think you might need some help breaking your film down, help getting ready for game preparation, hit me up on Discord, and maybe we can exchange film that way, and maybe we can strike a deal or two. But I'll leave you with this. Fare thee well. Keep an eye on them Steelers, man, because we're going to the Super Bowl. And you heard it here first. Even with a broke-down quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to find me a running back. We're going to get DK Metcalf going. And when Derrick Henry come through that this year, we're going to put some hats on him. That's what's going to happen. So until next time, appreciate you checking in with me. This has been Sports for Real, Coach Hall. Again, happy Mother's Day to you all out there. Hope you have a great time. And I catch you guys on the other side. In the meantime, I'm out. All right, check this poll one more time. 70% say the Knicks have a chance. No, you didn't miss me, JC. Once this thing, you usually take these lives, you can go to the site, and after about 3 or 4 hours, it'll populate, and you can watch the whole video. It's on there. D-Nice Warrior said, no way. I'm telling you, D-Nice, I know you're talking about them Steelers. Don't hate. Just appreciate it, that's all. All right, have a good day, man. I'm out. Do, do, do.